negative criticism I've given to Ice Age Continental Drift, you'd think it's the most disappointing animated film that I've seen this year. Well, not really. Don't get me wrong, it's a bad movie, but considering how stale the series is already getting, I'd be lying to say the movie was disappointing. Instead, the honor goes to, and try to hear me out people, Paranorman. Now before you start throwing sticks and stones at me, I don't hate this movie. But at the same time, I find myself really confused with the overwhelming praise that this movie has been given. Everybody that went and saw this movie seemed to automatically fall in love with it, and with that in mind, all I thought when seeing this movie was, really? This is the movie that everybody's calling the year's best? What about it that can they see that I can't? Well, before we go into that, let's talk about the story. Norman is your typical outcast with the incredible ability to see ghosts.
I see dead people.
Sorry, I couldn't resist. Anyway, one day, Norman's hometown becomes the site of a zombie invasion as Norman fails to complete a task that would otherwise prevent the curse of a witch, who was supposedly hanged in the town, from laying waste. So with the help of his friends and family, Norman must learn the truth behind the witch and save the town from certain doom. So why exactly don't I enjoy this movie as much as people do? It seems that there are a lot of things to admire about this movie. Well, I suppose, but the thing is, for every aspect about this movie that people seem to love, either found some major drawback or didn't think it was that strong at all. For example, a lot of people seem to really like the story, praising it as inventive and original, but I don't know, I feel like I've seen some of these plot elements before, like the reluctant hero archetype with Norman, or the idea that the real monsters are just humans who don't look past what they see on the outside and try to learn about what's on the inside. Yeah, I swear there are at least a dozen other movies that used these plot devices before, and I don't really think they've done anything that creative or unique with them. I'm especially annoyed with the monster misconception theme, because I can't think of one modern monster movie that doesn't use certain elements of this cliché. The message it's trying to teach is good, but try to get that message across in a different way. Also, a lot of people seem to really like the characters. While I can't say they're bad, I don't find them particularly interesting or even that well developed. I keep seeing the old cliches in these characters, like the outcast with the incredible gift, the socially awkward best friend, the bratty teenage sister, the parents who just don't understand, the idiot jock who the teenage girl has a crush on, and so forth. Again, I've seen these characters several times before, and they don't add anything new to these old stereotypes. Actually, I take that back. There is a major revelation about one of the characters near the end, but we'll get to that later. I guess the only two characters that I actually kinda like are Norman's uncle, played by Joe Goodman, even though he kicks the bucket 15 or 20 minutes in. Okay, he appears as a ghost, but then he's gone for the rest of the movie. The other, I'll talk about in a couple minutes. Anyway, another thing people seem to really like about this movie is the visuals in this movie, and to be completely honest, I agree for the most part. I do think the visuals in this movie are pretty well handled, all except for one major thing. The character designs. I'm sorry, I do not like the way these characters were designed at all. There's just something uneven and ugly about the way these characters look and act that comes off as just really unpleasant. The zombies, I can understand, because let's face it, the zombies are supposed to look that way. But as for the human characters, just looking at them just makes me feel uncomfortable whenever they're on screen. And finally, while this next one isn't a major aspect of the movie, several people seem to be praising this movie for its inclusion of a gay character. Not an ambiguously gay character, but a character who is in fact homosexual. And in most cases, I would also be really thrilled about this. For an animated movie, or at least one for kids, to take such a risk and address such a controversial issue with one of his characters, I think it's a great idea, and I am totally in favor of it. What I'm not in favor of is the way they handle the subject. The fact that the character is gay is not revealed until the last 5 minutes of the movie, and while I don't think it was intentional, the way they revealed it came off as a last-minute joke, and to be fair, I think they could have done a lot better. Like I said, I don't think that's what they were going for, but judging how it came off, I think they should have taken the content a bit more seriously. Okay, I'm sure you're sick of my ranting, but still, as I said before, I don't hate this movie. If there is one thing I thought was pretty well handled, it'd have to be the big reveal of the witch's true identity. I can't go into much detail about it without giving away major plot points, but the big twist is actually a very good twist, and the backstory they give the character is not only really interesting, but surprisingly tragic. Out of all the characters, she's probably the only one I'm actually really invested in. But sadly, this alone cannot save the film altogether. You know how I said a lot of people were disappointed with Brave? Well, that's how I feel about Paranorman. While it's not a terrible movie, and you can tell there was a lot of effort put into it, I just didn't enjoy it as much as everybody else did. The story isn't that strong, the majority of the characters aren't that strong, and the design... ugh. But does that mean you shouldn't see this movie? Well, not really. Even though I didn't enjoy that much, there's still a huge number of people that do, and like I mentioned, I do like the big twist near the end, so I guess there is some merit to its existence. If you want to see it, go right ahead. Maybe you'll find much more to this movie than I did. But for me, this isn't one of my favorites.
There's nothing wrong with being scared, Norman. As long as you don't let it change who you are. Paranorman.
You wanna play some hockey?
Rated PG.